and then we'll get started. Okay, so let's just prepare ourselves. So the temperature is kind of definitely dropping, isn't it? So warmth is really, really important. So if you haven't got a heater nearby, then we're going to wrap ourselves up. So have a blanket on top of your mat just to give yourself a little bit of extra cushioning and a bit of coziness. Have a folded blanket underneath your head. Have your bolster or underneath your knees, and then have a couple of blocks for underneath your feet, and then maybe have a cat nearby as well. So Arthur has decided to join us today, so maybe Charlotte will come back, hopefully. She was having some internet problems. So have also a blanket to cover yourself over with so that you can relax in a little bit of warmth. Well, a lot of warmth. We really want coziness, we want warmth. And if you've got something to cover your eyes with, like one of these eye pillows, then putting that over your eyes will help to kind of close off the daylight. So a bolster underneath your knees, a couple of blocks for underneath your feet, and Charlotte's back with us, good. And then a blanket, a folded blanket for underneath your head. So just get yourself comfy, cover yourself over, just so that you can stay nice and warm, and then bring yourself down into a good straight line. So often one of my favourite parts of restorative class is the first time you lay down on the floor. You realise all of the tension you've been holding in your body through the activity of the day. So it's a really nice opportunity to just let go, to just feel that the floor is there to support you. So if you can cover your eyes, then do. Just make sure you're nice and warm. And then have your arms just resting on the floor beside you. So as with all restorative yoga poses, if you aren't comfortable, then adjust until you are comfortable. So our basic relaxation pose is only relaxing if we find our comfort. Spend a little time just enjoying the feeling of release. Just give yourself permission to be here. Give yourself permission to relax. It's rare that we get an opportunity to just be on our own without constant demands. This is an opportunity to just recuperate our energy and our spirit, and regenerate our energy so that when we go back to the normal world after our hour on the floor. We were refreshed, recharged, and ready to give good, positive energy to everyone and everything around us. Consciously unhook the muscles of your arms so that they become heavy on the floor. Unhook your legs so that they become heavy on the floor. We live in a strange culture that seems to never want to associate the physical body with heaviness. But actually, heaviness of the physical body can be valuable because it helps us to relax. So allow yourself to be supported by the floor. Take deep, even inhalations and exhalations. So breathe in through the nose and out through the nose if you can. Just using this time to just slow down your breathing a little. Observe where your body makes contact with the floor and where it makes contact with the bolsters and the blocks and the blanket. And then draw your attention into the soles of your feet. So the soles of your feet become almost tingly with focus and awareness. And then consciously relax the soles of your feet. Draw your attention to the tops of your feet. And then consciously relax the tops of your feet, relaxing the skin and the flesh and the muscle and the bone. Draw your attention to your shins. And then relax your shins, relaxing the skin and the muscle and the bone, allowing the fronts of the shins and the shin bone to release into the bed of the calf muscle. Draw your attention into your thighs. And then consciously relax your thighs. And consciously relax the thighs, allowing the fronts of the thighs to sink into the backs of the thighs. Draw your attention into your torso. And then consciously relax the skin and the flesh and the muscle and the bone. And then consciously relax and release tension from the torso into the floor. Draw your attention into your arms, into your upper arms, your lower arms, and the palms of your hands. And then consciously relax the arms, relaxing the biceps and the muscles around the forearm and the wrists and the hands. Just allowing yourself to sink into the floor. Drawing your attention into your neck and your shoulders. And then release the neck and the head and the muscles around the face. Just allow them to relax and release. And then when you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers. Bring your feet onto the bolster. Have your knees together. And then just gently press your lumbar spine into the floor. Just let the knees sway from side to side. Press the lumbar spine into the floor. And then roll yourself up into a seated position. And then just come up into cross legs for a moment. Just lift and open the chest. Just feel how your energy changes a little, how the tensions around the body feel different. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of poses that just help to relieve lower back pain. So just get your blanket and then have just roll it out so that it's kind of a slightly longer blanket like this, and then just roll up the bottom of the blanket just into a little kind of Swiss roll. So just like you say, you got the top of the blanket and then you got a little Swiss roll, and you're going to use that for your neck. Then if you've got a belt, then that will be handy for this. If you haven't got a belt, you can just you can use we can use anything as a belt, like just anything that will, you can just tie your legs together with a bit of the string. You can get a block, put the block between your knees, and then tie the belt around your knees. So you just, if you haven't got a belt, you can just hold the block between your knees, but the belt will just allow you to just release a little more easily. So you're just going to lay down on your back for this constructive rest position, and then just bring the Swiss roll into your into your neck. Just make sure that it's not too big that it kind of really digs into your neck. So you might want to just adjust it a little bit, just so that it's supporting the neck. And then you just stay with the block between the two knees, the knees tied together, this little roll underneath your neck. And then again, just cover yourself over so that you feel that you are going to stay warm. So your knees are bent. The little Swiss roll goes underneath your neck. Make sure that it's not too thick, so it doesn't, so your head shouldn't feel like it's rolling back. So if it feels like it's rolling back, then just bring the Swiss roll smaller, just make it a little smaller, and again, cover your eyes. And then release down, just keep your knees bent. So this pose, you can even bring your feet apart a little bit, just to rest your lower back into the floor. So with the block between the knees, with the knees tied together, this pose just focuses your weight energy into the tailbone sacrum area of your back, your lumbar area. to just breathe naturally. Just listen to the breath. Try to slightly elongate the breath. Feel that the breath becomes gentle and smooth. Again, just letting the body release into the floor. So as we progress, I'll speak less and less, just to give you an opportunity to relax rather than to listen. So with the feet together or the feet apart, just find your ultimate comfort. Feet together or feet apart will help to keep the lower back quiet. Okay, and to bring yourself out of the pose, just remove the covering from your eyes, pull your knees in towards your chest a little, and then just loosen off the belt, and then remove the block, and then just gently roll onto your side, and then sit yourself up. So again, just take the belt off your knees and just come into a seated position, just again observing how the tensions of the body tend to release with each pose. Okay, so that wasn't very restful for me because Arthur decided to get underneath my knees and start scratching my foot. So that was, I think he wants to go out. So that was not very comfortable, but what are you doing? Okay, problem is solved. Okay, so, well, not that it's a problem, it's a lovely problem to have, but anyway, so we're going to do our side stretching pose. Now, if you've got two bolsters, this is really good with two bolsters. If you don't have two bolsters, then you can just use one bolster, and you can fold a blanket up like a little Swiss roll and then put that on top of one of your bolsters, but don't have that and two bolsters. So you just want two bolsters. So we're just going to do our side lying stretch. So the top bolster is going to go in the waist area, so the area between your lower ribs and your hip, and then straighten out your legs, and then straighten out your arms, and then just a gentle stretch. You might want to just have the feet together, or if you really want to soften it, you can bring the top foot, the foot that's on the top, you can bring that in front of the other foot. You can intensify it by bringing that foot behind the foot, but I wouldn't recommend that. That's too strong. So just find the position, be in a straight line. Try to remain on the side. So we're not going to stay too long in this. But this just gives us a really nice stretch. Remember, if it's not comfortable for you, then just adjust so that it is comfortable. So a fairly intense stretch, but we're not going to stay for as long as we stayed for the previous poses. But there's just a length of the upper facing body. Just breathe nice and gently. In through the nose and out through the nose. Just breathing evenly, gently, deeply. And then just bend your knees, bring your arms just to the side of the body, just press your hands into the floor, and then roll onto your abdomen on the lift, and then sit back on your heels. So we only stay in this pose fairly briefly. Let's come over onto the other side. And again, so it's the area between the hip and the lower ribs that's that's principally supported on the bolster. Just come over onto your side, stretch your legs out, stretch your arms out, and just feel that you can just again use the bolster, use gravity to just lengthen out the spine. So it's fairly intense in comparison with all of the other poses so far. So you can ease up any tension of the pose by bringing the top leg just forward of the top foot forward of the bottom foot. We'll just keep the feet level with each other. Keep the legs straight without overworking them. So again, covering yourself over if you're chilly. Okay, bend your knees, just roll onto your front, bring your knees onto the floor, and then just sit back on your heels for a moment. And then just observe fairly intense stretch that you just experience, how it changes your energy. Okay, and then just so we can do a supported pigeon pose. So you've got one bolster. So again, two bolsters is good for this. If you haven't got two bolsters, then you can just put a folded blanket kind of underneath your hip. So I'll show you. So I'll show you with two bolsters rather. So you have your bolster that's in front, and then a bolster that's sideways, or you can have a blanket if you don't have another bolster. Then you're going to bring your knee over the first bolster or the blanket, and then bring the knee down onto the floor, and then the foot sits underneath the kind of right hip, and then you just stretch your chest along the bolster, resting your head in the same direction as your knee. And again, you can cover yourself over. So if you haven't got a second bolster, just use your kind of Swiss roll blanket. Bring the right foot, or it doesn't matter, you can do the left knee first if you want. Bring it down, and then just rest yourself down along the blanket. So the straight leg can just rest into the floor. The upper body just rests into the bolster. The straight leg hip is supported by the second bolster. So again, this is a nice way to ease out tension on your back. So if the back leg, if the straight leg hip doesn't feel like it's supported, if it feels like it's collapsing downwards, just put a little bit more lift, a block or whatever underneath that leg, underneath the hip. Again, just let go into the floor. allowing your lower back to really soften as you stay. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Just push yourself up, push your chest up, and then just walk, just bend that back leg, just walk that back leg in. It's not particularly graceful to come out of this pose, but just bring yourself back to sit back on your heels behind the bolsters. And then we'll do the other side. So bring the other leg in front of the bolster, so come onto one knee like this, and then bring the knee down onto the floor. The foot is kind of underneath the other side of the hip, and then lengthen your chest along, and then have your elbows apart so you're not supporting your body weight with your arms. You're just using the bolster to release, and then release down into the floor. Okay, and then bring your hands underneath your chest, and then just sit yourself up, just come back up, walk the back leg in, and then just sit on your bolster. Just observe how your back feels. Just observe how your energy changes. And then we're going to do a supported inversion. So you're just going to have a chair for your legs. If you haven't got a chair handy, then you could just use a bed or a sofa, just something just to kind of like a ledge for your legs. And then you can have a blanket, just a folded blanket for underneath your head, and then you just come down onto your back and bring your knees onto your left. So the edge of a bed or the sofa will be fine. And then again, you can just move your equipment out of the way just so you can stretch out. If you can always put a block or whatever underneath your lower back if you're kind of if your thigh legs aren't long enough. So it should feel quite comfortable. It should feel very comfortable. Just allowing the body to just release into the floor. Just drawing your attention into your breath. Just observing the rise and the fall of the chest. Spend a few moments to gather a short list of things in your life that you feel grateful for. So create a little list like a conveyor belt. Just hold it in your body as the conveyor belt stops. Just feel how that person or that thing or that place brings positive energy into your heart region. Express gratitude. And then move on to the next thing in your life that brings you positive energy. Hold in that positive energy in the heart area. So one thing at a time, hold it in your chest. Express gratitude. And then move on to something else. Things that you feel gratitude for, that make you feel grateful. when you stop thinking of new things, just hold everything that you have considered in your heart area. Just feeling the accumulation of positive energy. Just observe the feeling in the physical body. And then just bend your knees, just stretch your legs out. So just keep your chair there. If it doesn't constrict you, just rest into the floor for a moment. Just allow the body to release into the floor. Feel that sense of lightness and energetic positivity. And then wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bring yourself back into this pose of Shavasana. And then just bend your knees. You might have to move your chair out of the way. Just bend your knees. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. Just roll over onto your right side. And then just sit yourself up. Just come back up into a seated position, just directly on the floor. Just bring your hands into Namaste. Draw your breath in through your nose, down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this evening, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the gentle yoga poses bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then very gently release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms face upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes to gently open and focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel as though you've really kind of eased out any tension in your lower back and that you've given yourself lots of good energy for the rest of your evening. So thank you very much for joining me.